Hello and welcome back. Uh, I am still making my way through Fall of the House of Usher, enjoying each episode as it comes. Uh, I, you know, again, I'm a fan of Mike Flanagan. So this is season 1, episode 2. I did not binge watch this thing all at once, so I get to just sort of absorb each episode. And this one was kind of a mixed bag. I was not a fan of this episode. I think there's something weird that's happening with this show, and I did put spoilers in the title, so we got to talk about a couple things here. Basically, this episode is we open up with Bruce Greenwood, and he's still, trying to tell his story to the detective. And he's like, I'll tell you how I killed my son. And the detective's like, I know how your son died. You didn't kill him. And he's like, no, I killed my son. And then we sort of like, the rest of the episode is just kind of like a flashback. And what we're getting more character building, which is great because this series needs it so badly. I feel like these characters are not established enough. I get like a taste of them in the first episode, but in the second episode, there are still a lot of characters, and I'm not seeing massive distinctions in personality. After 2 episodes, it's weird because they have 8 episodes, and this episode is primarily focused on expanding Prospero, which isn't doing much for the other characters. I didn't feel like the episode was necessarily expanding all of the kids. I felt like it was like, well, we have to tell Prospero's story, and make sure that you understand what this is. And Prospero just feels like your average entitled, wealthy guy who has too much free time, enjoys orgies, and his main goal in life seems to be a sex club. He's trying to get his brother's wife to go to this orgy night at this exclusive club where everybody was invited. And that's basically the plot of the thing. And then everybody shows up at the sex club, and it reveals that Prospero maybe had different intentions, and everybody who's there is sort of like really specifically somebody important or somebody who could one day be influential. And so even though he made everybody give up their phones at the door, they all are being recorded, in these rooms where he's like, the floor is a mattress. I'm like, conceptually, I don't know how you did that, but I'm intrigued. Like, that was one thing we didn't get into. I was like, the floor is a mattress. One mattress, not just a bunch of mattresses. It's not like a crack house where it's just a bunch of mattresses on the floor. But you made the floor of mattress? Like, I just feel like we didn't explore that enough. I was really intrigued by conceptually what he said. He's like, the floor is a mattress. And I was like, what does that mean? What does it mean to you? Like, I don't know. I just envisioned this room where you walked in and like the floor was soft, and you're like, what am I standing on? And you like start kind of like bouncing, like how you'd be standing on a bed, and you're like, is this a mattress? This is a mattress. Is it like multiple? No, it's one giant mattress in the shape of a room. What size sheets is this? What are you putting on this on this bed? So yeah, it was just very weird for me. I I spent way too much time thinking about that little detail once he said it. When he was like, the floor is a mattress, I was like, but how? Is it like a bunch of twin beds just kind of Jenga'd together like in the like Tetris into the into specific positions, or what? I need more. Audio description team, please help me. Explain this to me. Wish there was a little button that could have like, I need like a blind, an AI assistant for blind people who could pop up and be like, hello, how can we help you with your audio description? Like, I need to know. How is the floor a mattress? How did he do it? Please tell me. So anyway, the wife, of course, shows up to the party, and she looks very like out of place. I think probably like the one choice I would have made that Mike Flanagan doesn't make is I would have had her leave just before the shit hits the fan, so to speak. And then, she just barely kind of makes it outside and is like, turns around and is like, what the fuck just happened? But Prospero runs into a lady who he's like, I personally selected everybody on this list and I don't know who you are. And we're like, I don't know who she is either. But this is weird. And it gets weirder and it gets worse. And it gets into Mike Flanagan's horror zone towards the end, as the sprinkler system does not release purple rain, as the title of my video suggested. It releases something else, and lots of people die. So definitely a creative set piece for Mike Flanagan, and I'm sure his makeup team had fun with that. They're like, oh, we get to do this on a lot of people. Okay, we get to do makeup work on a lot of people. Awesome. Good times. And that is how presumably Prospero dies. Even though, I mean, he's basically like near death when we leave him. I'm just assuming that like the paramedics didn't rush in time and save him, and he wasn't just like horribly disfigured for the rest of his life. But could be in episode 3 that we might find Prospero and he's just like, barely hanging on. EMTs got in time. Never underestimate the power of a wealthy person to be saved immediately by people. I also kind of wondered about the bouncer, like, because the bouncer wouldn't have been in the room. He would have been like trying to keep people out, right? So if he wasn't in the room or in a room with sprinklers, did the bouncer just like hear tons of people screaming? It was like, what the fuck is happening back there? Like, what was he doing? Yeah, so thoughts, I always had them. I thought this episode was slow. It had a great finish, but it was slow. And I didn't care about Prospero. Ever. Which could totally be the point. I'm accepting that. I am accepting the fact that Prospero is unlikable as a character. It is something I'm fully willing to embrace, is that I'm not supposed to like Prospero. He gave me no reason to like him. He gave me no reason to be like, oh no, not Prospero. Damn, we were so close. I really was rooting for him. He seemed like a good guy. He was making great choices. Don't pick him. So that's the problem with like having like characters and you're trying to like cram backstory in so that we can flesh them out. In many ways, this show almost needs more time to it's worried about making sure that it's a horror series in every single episode, and it's got to give you something. The first episode had a couple like little jump scare-ish moments. Second episode has a finish that absolutely qualifies it as being a horror episode, like undeniably. Um, I don't know what the next 6 episodes feel like, but I do hope, though, that at some point I feel like I have a good understanding of a character before they die. It's kind of what I'm hoping for this series, because right now I'm not feeling it. I just don't feel like I really got that. I feel like somebody tried to rush telling me who Prospero was so that they could kill him off. And just like, this is Prospero, but nothing Prospero ever did made me endeared to him at all. It's just like, all right, well, Prospero, I guess, is gonna get hit by a car or something. I don't, I didn't care. I mean, it went really hard at the end, but that was the most interesting thing that happened in the entire episode. Um, so I normally love Mike Flanagan stuff, but I don't know if he wasn't feeling some of this, because he's like, listen, that my deal with Netflix has ended. I know that they went through the production and they had Frank Langella, and he had some issues and they pulled him and replaced him. So yeah, this show has been a little bit through the ringer, but I was expecting to be able to start grading this show up instead of down, and this is not. I don't want to do this. I feel like Flanagan fans, if you're watching this, you're going to be very disappointed in me, but I'm disappointed in everything. So I love his shows. I loved the other 4 things that he's done for Netflix are like magnifique. This is struggling. So it's so weird because he's had such strong characters. And he's had strong, short-lived characters before. And I don't know. Again, we have more Edgar Allan Poe references here. There's a Rue Morgue reference that just straight up comes up. I mean, he's throwing all this Poe stuff at you. And I don't know if it's becoming a little bit muddied, but I just wasn't feeling this episode. So I'm going to give The Fall of the House of Usher Season 1, Episode 2 a B-. I think it kind of picks up only because there is the promise of gore at the end. And that's it. It's like, this is what you waited for, was an ending that would shock you. And it's like, I mean, I felt, I felt some shock, but episode was like, it's an hour episode, so what was I doing the rest of the time? I was trying to figure out who all these other characters were. There's a lot of them, and they're trying to give Prospero a lot of time, and I'm realizing these other characters, I'm like, I don't even know who these other characters are. Somebody asked me who all the names of the kids were after watching the first 2 episodes. I don't know. I really don't. I don't even know how many kids he has. I feel like this show is bouncing all over the place, and it needs to just stop, take a breath, stop worrying about how it's presenting the story, and just tell me who these people are so I can understand who they are before they all die. And actually give me character development, because that's what makes a strong show, is if you know who these people are. And it's really hard when they're all entitled, spoiled brats, because they're harder to latch onto in a short period of time with little to no character development. And that's what's happening, is that I didn't care. Prospero could have fallen off of a building this episode, and I would not have cared that he fallen, And I should care about these characters. I feel like I'm supposed to care at some point about somebody. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'm gonna keep recapping these episodes My goal is to try to recap this one a little bit faster than I do my normal ones, because once we get past Halloween, Fall of the House of Usher, I feel like loses its luster a little bit. So I kind of want to actually finish this before Halloween, but I'm not into binge watching. So there you go. Anyway, I'll be back with another review shortly. Until then, see you guys on the other side.